The programme that gave children nightmares. That's all at 4 minutes past 12. Thank you, Winifred. Now is widely regarded as the scariest children's television serial ever made, with its chilling theme music and eerie atmosphere sending a generation of terrified youngsters scurrying behind the sofa. Now on BBC Radio 4, Stuart Lee.
A 5,000-year-old stone circle in a Wiltshire village. The struggle of the individual to remain free. The eternal conflict of light and dark, with a bit of grey in the middle. I'm Stuart Lee, and over the next half hour, I'm going to tell you how all these things combined in one of the most extraordinary television series of the 70s, in the tale of archaeology, occult ritual, and chopper bikes that is Children of the Stones. Back in the 1970s, children's television was packed with weird and wonderful drama programmes.
You do remember the voices, don't you, Stephen?
What do you want?
I want to help you.
Powers of evil take many forms. That's not real, child.
After school, when you turned on that box in the corner of the lounge, there was every chance you'd stumble across any number of 20-minute splurges of decadent psychedelic madness.
The world has changed out of all recognition, and human beings have changed with it.
Their outrageous and convoluted plotlines seem ridden with shaggy countercultural concerns. Raven, The Changes, The Owl Service, and one serial which, from the opening few minutes, gripped youthful viewers with its striking atonal music and megalithic imagery.
I was in the living room alone, this creepy music came on, and I thought, oh, what's this? And then stones started to move around, and it was just like nothing I'd ever seen before.
Children of the Stones, an occult horror story set in an isolated English village, nestled in an ancient stone circle, where defiant teenagers take on an evil magus. But despite its fantastic subject material, Children of the Stones seemed to address my own real childhood concerns about conformity, fitting in, and an abstract fear of the unknown, concerns which few contemporary children's shows dare to deal with. Children of the Stones tells the tale of an astrophysicist and his son who arrive in the village of Milbury to study the ancient stone circle that surrounds it. However, they soon learn that the quiet hamlet has a sinister secret linking the stones with a black hole in space, the power of which is used by the lord of the manor, a druid called Hendrik, to control the villagers, none of whom are able to leave the circle.
Leave the stones. You never will.
What do you mean?
Nobody leaves the circle.
Sidney Sager's score, performed by the Ambrosian Singers, the most inappropriate children's TV theme ever penned, warned of horrors lying ahead. Their hive-mind greeting spawned a disturbing new playground catchphrase, Happy Day.
It's a phrase that is not used. You know, nobody says happy day to each other. That's what makes it a bit eerie. And
happy days.
Veronica Strong plays Margaret Smythe in the series.
I thought it was a wonderful work. You don't make the Sci-Fi magazine every year in the top 50. Not to have done something rather good.
Without diminishing the significance of the writer's dramatic influences, it would be impossible to imagine Children of the Stones without the inspiration of a strange and unique Wiltshire village, Avebury. A small collection of buildings, somehow caught in time within the borders of a vast prehistoric stone circle, renamed Milbury in the story, and the place where the series was filmed.
Although we changed the name to Milbury, we could still keep the topography and the geography of Avebury.
Some approach the circle scientifically, others superstitiously or spiritually. Children of the Stones itself falls somewhere between.
Don't meddle with the stones.
I think people are into the paranormal, but I think we sense that there are secrets out there, and we lucked into it.
I'm not the be-all and end-all. Somewhere, something is a lot bigger than I am.
I think that we're only at the beginning of human knowledge.
To try and understand why the series meant and continues to mean so much to a generation of children's television viewers, and to see how it inspired them, along with exploring the real history of the Stones themselves, I travelled to Avebury to meet an assortment of Stone Circle enthusiasts, fans and cast members, and even one conspicuously dissenting refusenik.
Here's the circle.
With the village inside it. Scary.
What is?
Not knowing anybody.
Oh, you soon will.
Suppose they all turn out to be nutters.
We're here around the middle of the North Circle in Avebury.
Solstice sun rises above the Hillstone, and a meeting point because people processed to the circles, and still do, and have their seasonal celebrations in them.
And it's reasonable to assume that your life would have been very different then had you not seen Children of the Stones as a child.
Very much so. I wouldn't have been introduced to stone circles paganism.
Of Children of the Stones, aren't you?
Yes.
And now you're here in Avebury where it's filmed and set. What do you think?
I thought it was fantastic, incredibly educational. The technical stuff that was in it, I just can't see most children's programmes having that level of technical.
Sort of female characters, aren't they? They're not just standing around waiting to be rescued, are they?
No, not at all. They're very independent, both of the sort of main female leads.
It seems to me like it's about non-conformity as well, that they're kind of opposing this society where everyone has to say happy day and all behave in the same way.
Yeah.
Well, so this is the basic plot of 7 episodes of Children of the Stones. There's a village in a stone circle, and an astrophysicist, Professor Brake, goes to make a study of it with his son, Matthew. And when they get there, they find out that all the people seem to be slightly kind of Stepford Wives-ish, and they keep saying happy day when they say goodbye to each other. And it gradually becomes clear to them that the Lord of the Manor, who's a former astrophysicist himself, called Hendrik, seems to be running some kind of cult in which the people go for dinner with him, and after they've had dinner with him they become these benign, happy people wandering around saying happy day. There's a weird poacher who lives inside a burial chamber called Di, played by the fantastic character actor Freddie Jones, and the astrophysicist and his son make friends with the curator of the museum, Margaret, and her daughter Sandra, who tries to help them in their struggle against whatever this weird cult is. But it turns out that the circle's been built to harness the power of a cosmic ray coming out of a black hole in space, and that the circle exists in a kind of other dimension where time stopped, and anyone who disobeys the Lord of the Manor gets turned into a standing stone themselves. That's about all you need to know, really.
Certainly, Professor. The stones are undressed sarsen, weighing approximately 40 tons each. There are 100 in the original.
I'm standing in the museum now at Avebury with Ros Cleal, the curator. Presumably, as the curator of the Avebury Museum, you don't feel that the purpose of the circle was to harness an evil ray from space.
No.
No. Okay. Well, if we look at this, what do you think the builders of this had in mind?
Well, and that is a really hard question, but it's obviously, I think, to do with the latest theories and put the archaeological information across in interesting ways. For people who come for sort of spiritual reasons or because they just love the place, I mean, we sort of feel that in a way we need to stand back and just let them enjoy it because they don't need us giving them lots of facts.
Facts getting in the way.
That's right.
Yeah. What's the current thinking on how the stones were erected?
There are different ways of doing it. I mean, it's not impossible, and there are societies today who manipulate, or in recent past have manipulated very heavy stones. There are various ways of moving them and pushing them up. Mostly it's done with sort of pushing them up gradually.
Of a stone. We're standing on the rim of the northernmost of the 2 inner circles of the big Avebury henge with Catherine Livy, who was Sandra, one of the 3 children that resist being taken over by the stones in the series. So is it quite a big deal coming back here today then?
Yes, it is actually.
Is it nice?
It's lovely.
We're walking into the southern part of the henge now.
And so when Freddie sort of would turn into the stone, the crew would very often play tricks and say, look, Kate, could you go and sort of pick up that stone and just bring it over here?
Oh, you must have noticed. Some of us are normal and the rest are happy ones.
Yes.
But they don't seem happy. Oh, I know, they always behave well. Never lose their tempers, always shine in class. But they're like...
zombies.
Yes.
400 meters across and hanging like a football field over the valley of a stone circle, wondering what the crop will yield.
This is Upwards at 45 Degrees by Julian Cope, and I'm standing with Julian, musician, writer, antiquarian, in the north part of the circle. You live in this area, you've written a lot about it, you've done an amazing job on popularising and making it accessible to people, writing about this kind of archaeology. What's your take on the series Children of the Stones?
What I couldn't stand about it was that it was another either or. Right? The idea that a shamanistic cult could be started here is so likely.
Well, you know, you've had a go, haven't you?
Yeah, man. People were taking over. Messiahs have been taking over, you know, islands all over Britain since the year dot.
Yeah.
I think the last one was in St Kilda for the Lord of Summerisle.
Yeah.
Because he's presenting another somewhat valid worldview,
yeah,
because they're so removed from everything. But he's an absolute bastard.
Yeah, but he wins, doesn't he? The Wicker Man. In the Wicker Man, the Christian monotheistic Calvinist coming in gets burned in a big thing, but here they escape. Who runs a website dedicated to the Children of the Stones series. You sat and watched the programme, you saw stones moving around. You imagined, presumably from your Scottish lair, that all of England was full of sinister moving rocks in rural villages.
Well, I hope so, anyway. I mean...
This is my study where I've kept the mock-up of the picture all these years. This picture, it depicts the village in primeval times with a brilliant column of light coming up from the stone circle up into the starlit heavens, and all the villagers are fleeing away from it because it's pretty terrifying.
Mrs. Crabtree, come and look at this.
The boy, Matthew, found this picture in a junk shop. Hendrik suggests that maybe the picture found him.
It's very raw, powerful.
Ian Cuthbertson was absolutely ideal for Hendrik. I think probably that Les Matthews has the original. It's got exactly the right kind of scary note.
I've always felt there's Children of the Stones references all over popular culture.
And there's a woman in the road which a guy crashes into, but turns out to be a tree. Ley lines and stone circles are a big feature of that kind of mystical aspect of old English villages. And
25 years later.
But the whole thing of a time set means he can do exactly that.
I think it would be wonderful if there was a sequel, as long as I was in it.
It still inspires interest.
Happy Days, The Children of the Stones was presented by...
Stupid in the sense that I was reckless.
An ordinary life suddenly transformed.
You made one very stupid decision, of course, while you were in Bangkok.
At Bangkok airport, she was carrying 150 grams of heroin.
Mum, I love you. Dad, I love you.
People who found themselves in the media spotlight are given access to the archives to find out how their story was told.